Thank you. Good evening to all of you all. The two-day 47th GST Council meeting ended just half an hour ago. It was a two-day session, and it was a two-day session. Is it all right now? And in fact, I expected it to run till about 5 or 6 o'clock. It did conclude earlier than expected. But it did conclude earlier than expected after having finished all the agenda which was on the table, and also one extra agenda which came in. This is after 6 months of the last meeting. The last one was on 31st December, but on a specific agenda, I think, on textiles. But otherwise, we had the earlier meeting only in September, and post that, this is the regular meeting, and that is one of the reasons why, because there were so many things that we had done in between, we had scheduled it for 2 days. In a way, the highlight of these 2 days meeting was that we could consider, discuss, and take a decision on 4 GOM reports. So I've been watching very keenly the media reportage before today. Your focus was probably on just one, or probably lately on the second as well, but the third and the fourth probably didn't draw your attention. So this GST 47th meeting, spread over 2 days, really did justice for the good work that the group of ministers have done on 4 different matters. So I'll quickly highlight the 4 GOMs, which essentially were the core business agenda before us. And there were other few things where some detailing had to be done on certain decisions which were taken earlier. So all that has been handled in this 2 days. Even before I start, I want to highlight the fact 3 administrations were together in holding this: the Union Territory of Chandigarh, Government of Punjab, and also Haryana, which was also indicated by the fact that last evening the dinner was hosted by the Chief Minister of Haryana for the entire GST Council and its Secretariat staff. This afternoon's lunch was hosted by Punjab's Chief Minister. And Chandigarh, the Union Territory, has been actively engaged in coordinating between the 2 administrations and also with us. So I would want to mention here a word of appreciation for the excellent coordination the 3 of them had among themselves, and the way in which we had a very smooth 2-day GST meeting. So thanks entirely to the 3 administrations which worked together, and it was like a breeze. So that's a very big note of appreciation for all the 3. Now, the 4 GOMs which I want to highlight before you, first flag it off, then I can get into the details. Revenue Secretary also can come into it. The 4 GOMs which were discussed relate to one which has now become popularly known as Rate Rationalization Committee group, which was headed by the Chief Minister of Karnataka, which also looked at not just rate rationalization, it looked at exemptions, it also looked at correction of inversion. And in yesterday's and today's meeting, it was the inversion, meaning the correction of inversion, and exemptions that was taken up. The rate rationalization aspect of it, which is the third point of that GOM, has not yet been taken up, and for that the GOM has been given an extension of time. So that is about that GOM. The second GOM related to the betting, gambling, casinos, horse trading, horse racing, and lottery. So they have gone into the details. Chief Minister of Meghalaya was the chair of that GOM. They've also submitted. So the 1 minute. So the first one, where of the 3 items only 2 was tabled, called that report, although on the 2 it was final. The third one, they needed an extension. So on the 2 where they submitted the report, the committee of Chief Minister Bommai called it an interim report, but that interim report pertained only to these 2, where the findings and recommendations were final. So it called itself interim because that one aspect was yet to be taken up, for which they've got a separate extension. The second one, which is Conrad Sangma's group, which looked into betting, gambling and so on, gave its report on all the 3 which it considered: the casinos, the online gaming, horse racing, and they gave a final report, and on that there were discussions. I'll come to what happened after that in a minute. The third group of minister is on IT related and technology related matters, which was headed by Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. They've also submitted their report. They've gone into great details about what are the kind of corrections that the system can do, how to improve. I'll give you the details a bit. So that was the third GOM. The report has been given. And the fourth GOM, about which probably not much of attention was paid, is about movement of precious metals, particularly gold, which was under discussion for quite some time. Kerala's finance minister was the head of it, and that report has also been tabled, discussed. So on the 4, there were elaborate discussions spread over these 2 days, and the recommendations given on the items 1 and 2 of the Bommai committee have been accepted, and those decisions specifics will also be covered under the detailed press note for you, elaborated. 1 or 2 things which we'll highlight to you now. The second, the one pending of theirs will be obviously given more time. They will be taking it up again, so that the exemptions and the inversion correction has been in toto accepted, and they will be implemented. The details I'll share with you. The second was the Conrad Sangma on online gaming and also on horse racing and casinos. The discussion were essentially on the casino aspect of it, where the finance minister of Goa went into great details about why casinos will need a greater detailing, greater understanding, greater different treatment and so on. The one thing which I want to highlight to you all first is whether it is horse racing or online gaming or casinos, the common thread which the committee highlighted was they're all part of betting and gaming. In other words, they are essentially gambling. There may be element of skill in it or element of chance in it, but essentially all the 3 are gambling. And even by the existing rules, they are treated so, and also treated uniformly without any differentiation between one and the other and the third, and all of them are taxed at 28%. Now this GOM looked at each one of them, heard the various stakeholders, and took a call that based on two judgments of the Supreme Court as well. One was on lotto and the other one was on, I'll tell you, in both the cases, the Supreme Court, actionable claims. Sunrise Industries had gone to the court, and on Sunrise Industries, actionable claims being the point at which the tax will have to be levied, was a case with the Supreme Court on which the Supreme Court has upheld the decision, and Lotto was the second one, which was also in Supreme Court, and the verdict is out. All of this confirm the existing laws. All of this confirm and uphold the existing law which treats all these gaming, varieties of gaming similarly, and the incidence of tax where it is levied also is broadly accepted. Now this GOM therefore, after studying the whole thing, went by the fact that that is the only rational way to handle each one of the three. So in a way they were in favor of continuing the status quo. So then came this issue where, even as he presented the report, the Chief Minister of Meghalaya did say that Goa and its minister requested that he place his view even before the entire council, not just the GOM. So he was given an opportunity to speak in front of all the members of the GOM, wherein his request was that the treatment for casinos should be different. And therefore it was decided, he did give a complete presentation, therefore it was decided that Conrad Sangma, the chair of that GOM, will once more hear Goa. And even as this decision was taken, it was felt, some of the members of that GOM felt that if there is a window for casinos to be heard again, let horse riding also be heard again, let online games be also heard again. We've allowed that, but with a condition that by July 15th the report should be back again with us. So the council will then have a look at it, and as a result, we have accepted that the council will meet on this GOM's agenda, and one more, which I'll elaborate a bit later, on this GOM's agenda and one more, either on the 1st of August of this year or in the first week of August. So for reconsidering the Conrad Sangma report after they meet up with Goa and other stakeholders, the three ministers, they will submit the report by July 15th, and the council will meet again to take that on board, consider that in the first week of August. So I come to the third GOM, which is on IT related matters, which was headed by the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Tarun, do you want to elaborate on that? IT related. The fourth I'll conclude and then Tarun can take on, is on the gold, movement of gold, where Kerala's minister headed the GOM and he's given the report. Essentially, there was this discussion about movement of gold, whether the number, the Aadhaar card and of the transporter will have to be given, who will take it from one area within the state to another, and so on. So now on the basis of the recommendation given by that committee, it will be left to the state to decide whether they'll take the number, the Aadhaar card or whatever of those vehicles which move, taking precious, because it also has a serious security related consideration. So we've gone by the report submitted by Kerala. So these were the 4 on which IT matter, again Tarun can elaborate. The 5th one was on compensation cess. A few states before lunch today said that they would like the compensation to continue for some time. Even as a few other states said, yes, it is a question of coming out of the pandemic, but yet we need to have states also stand on their own. How long can this go on, and so on. Post lunch, some other states also wanted to come and join. We thought by lunch it was all over. But when most states wanted to join in, we went in for an hour after lunch. And they were broadly statements being to the sense of compensation can be continued, if not for 5 years, at least for a few years. So they were that kind of input on the compensation cess. So overall, in sum and substance, this is what happened between yesterday and today. Let Tarun expand on the GOM on IT. Also, we'll get into some specifics, post which, of course, you're welcome to ask questions.
Thank you, ma'am. The other GOM which the FM was mentioning is on IT reforms that have made some recommendations on further improvement in the GSTN and use of AI and ML to ensure that we have a better data to, for compliance purposes, as also there is a feeling that there are issues which we have not been able to settle with regard to fake invoice bills, some companies coming up, suddenly showing some spike and then vanishing. So there were about 6 aspects that were taken up by the GOM in the first place, and they have made very specific recommendations as to what the GSTN ought to do in this regard, and in the sense that, for example, on the registration, risk-based models will be developed, where the risky people, there will be a greater check on them before the registration process itself. So there were these kind of 5 or 6 recommendations which have been accepted, and now the GSTN will work on them, and in due course will come up with these utilities so that we are able to further use the GSTN network, the AI ML utilities that they'll develop, to ensure that we have even better compliance than what we already have. It was also felt that the GSTN has done a commendable job in terms of providing information and building utilities, and the compliance has actually gone up, which is also visible in the higher revenues that we are getting on month basis. But now what more needs to be done? So this is some kind of a permanent GOM which will keep giving these suggestions to the GSTN through the council, and the GSTN will keep implementing them. You want to speak about it?
Opening the floor for question answer. First from Chandigarh group. I will rotate the question from Chandigarh and Delhi parallel. Please, from Chandigarh, request from Chandigarh group. Anyone? Meghna. Oh, but no one raised the hand. No, from Chandigarh. From Chandigarh. Okay, you are there. Please. Give to, Mike. Mike, please, in the central row. Please introduce first.
Yeah, hi, I'm Vijay C. Roy from Tribune. So my question is, you mentioned about rate rationalization. So when the committee is likely to give submit report, Is there any timeline?
The committee has been given an extension of 3 months. So we expect that by that time they'll be able to further deliberate on that and give us their recommendations, which can be taken to the council meeting.
Second, Meghna, first row.
Ma'am, Meghna Mittal from ET Now. You said this additional agenda of extension of GST compensation cess that was raised was discussed. Is the centre going to discuss it amongst themselves and then get back to the states on this, firstly? And secondly, all the rate decisions that have been announced, by when will it be implemented?
Well, I've heard, as I said, some states speak. All of us have heard them. At this stage, I can just only report that much.